I think you can equally have a conversation and discussion. I don't think a man just has to shut the fuck up. Because I'm an alpha female, I don't think I go along with just shut the fuck up and do what you tell me to do. Like, I don't want you to do that. I want to hear what your opinions are. But if you're wrong and we need to get on this ship right now, we're not going to make it before the ship pulls off. Like, I think sometimes you could take heed to what I'm saying and we make an action. Same thing could be for me. Just because I am so strong, headstrong, which is kind of like hereditary, by the way. But because I'm so headstrong doesn't mean that I can't take any direction or that I won't or that I think I'm always right.
I think that's a misconception. If we were having a real conversation where that scenario was happening,
okay,
I think it's so subjective that it's hard for me to like respond and be like, okay, yeah, you're right about this or you're right about that. Because typically with the scenario you gave, I feel like it's fair for me to say that like that depends on what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It depends on what's going on.
Right. So not to say that you're right or wrong. It's just more so like to get back to the question, do a man deserve an alpha female? You asked me why I laughed. I think it's funny to have a person who can give you a good example of why it's important or why, you know what I'm saying? So for me, it's like, this is interesting. And we could debate, you know what I'm saying? Like about it or have a conversation. I don't necessarily agree with it. If that's what you're asking. If you want to be straightforward.
Yeah, I think maybe my example may not have been properly. I didn't even really expect us to go down that little
alpha sound like
you're really laughing over there.
You know that Harlem Night scene when he was shooting the little gun? Mm-hmm. It's like that's how I feel. Like that's what alpha sound like with my girl. Like go sit in the car while we do this man shit.
I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that.
It's cool. I'm glad you're there.
That doesn't necessarily mean that. I think that just means like, you know, like in business, I'm gonna go get it. If I'm in a room with 10 different other people, hey, if I'm in a group at my job, I don't have a job, but if I'm in a group with my job and there's a project, and nobody knows who's gonna do this, who's gonna do that, who's gonna get this together, who's head of the ideas. Yeah, I'm gonna say if we're all on a boat in the middle of the ocean,
but that's not,
and nobody knows.
That's not your man though. Like ain't none of that. You got give me something like we talking about your man, like because you know it's like.
I've been single for a long time. I got to dig out the archives. Okay,
we having the wrong conversation. I think we need to go back to business because
let's go back to business. Because I've been single for too long, baby. I can't tell these people what to do with their man. Just know, you come over here, I know where I'm going.
Hey, shout out to the single business.
One of them up. Yeah. We're not lost in the sauce, baby. That's all I'm saying.
I do think that's I think it's neat though, because when you having success and you trying to have a relationship, it does have it's almost like you got situations that you walking into, right? Mm-hmm. That you already know is against you. Like for example, time. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times people need affection. And it's hard to be affectionate without time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, I get it. Do you think staying single is the most helpful? Let's say if you did find somebody. Let's only think like, oh, this the nigga right here.
Okay. Is staying single the most effective for me? No.
Knowing all these, it's a whole bunch of good niggas out here you can choose from.
Well, that's why I choose to. It's a lot of great men out there.
Shout out to you for saying that.
It's a lot of great men out there. It's a lot of great guys. However, for me, like I said, for what I'm doing right now, I just choose to be single because of the time that I know I have available. And like you said, you cannot rush affection. So why would I squeeze like you spending time with me into a hour and a half time frame? So no, it's not effective. When I love wholeheartedly. And when I love, I also make C's. And where I'm going, I need to make A's. So it's not effective.
So at what point do you decide, like, all right, it's time to go out here and find me? I mean, so do you look at marriage? So how important is marriage in the Black community?
How important is marriage? I think it's very important.
Why?
But because children need to have ideas about keeping family together. I think that other races have ideas about having families and raising legacy and completing things through family circle. At taking it back, full circle, I think that Black people have lost sight of that a little bit. Now, I'm a little bit of a double standard because here I am saying that I choose to be single. But, when I choose to get ready to say that I want to take a partner full on, I'll be fully prepared for that partner versus not, versus having 10 years of failed marriage because I was still studying or into my business too much or chasing my dreams.
Oh,
A
and
lot of times people take chasing dreams as being selfish. So I will sit myself here.
okay, so and not to be rude, but to point out the most important, not giving the draws up to a whole bunch of other men in the process, right?
Let's talk about the
Right?
importance of having a roster.
Because you can't say all of that and then be
Hey, so we want to talk about how my sexual needs being met. Is that correct?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I'm not saying that it can't be anybody, but you can't present it all with all flowers and all of this shit. And then it's like, yo, I'm gonna go get a nigga every time I feel like it, let him knock me down, and then you know what I'm saying?
No,
Get back to work.
So what I practice and what I think would be a very successful practice for women out there who are about their money, want to move forward, want to be successful, and they find little time for them to actually have a relationship is maybe find one or two men that you can confide in and sleep with. I think it's a very healthy practice to keep you from giving up the underwear, the panties,
the draws,
that keep you from giving up the panties to your randoms at the club after too many shots of Don Julio. Shout out to Monaleo. Love that song.
And I don't want to be inappropriate. You know what I'm saying?
No, but I feel like this is a healthy topic. I feel like this is an okay topic
because people act like we have these conversations. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. Yes, we have these conversations. Me as a professional, there's things that you don't want to talk about. There's things that you do want to talk about. Let's talk about what we're all thinking about. If and I feel completely fine talking about it. Otherwise, I wouldn't bring it up. Me choosing to be single does not mean I am choosing to not be sexually active. I think it is okay for a woman to have one or two. Now, two, I think, is where I would stop it, but hey, whatever floats your boat. I like to have just two options that that I know their souls are in the right place. And when I say their souls, like what are they putting out there? What are they working towards? Like what kind of food are they eating? Are they eating? Like how often are they exercising? Like because I believe that when I sleep with someone or when I'm intimate with someone, I am giving a piece of my soul out in exchange for theirs. So I want to make sure that your soul is worthy of an exchange of mine. And let's talk about this summer where I chose to take different outings for myself. Being a single woman and you want to go out and do things, you don't want to wait for a man to take you out. So I started taking myself out on dates. And you would meet people. I would go to these different events, different dinners, different expos, high techs after dark, art after dark at the art museum, different award shows, just different, all types of different things. Shout out to Eventbrite. Um, and you find yourself still having a need that you need to fulfill. I think it's where right around the time where I consider myself having one or two healthy friends that I could be intimate with and still go out and date, but not have to give up the panties to just random people just because you have sexual needs that you need to meet. As a woman, I believe it's healthy to have a couple of options, a couple of go-tos, especially if you're the type of woman chasing her paper. You don't want to be just out going on, he took me. They will love bomb you, boo. Take you out shopping, take you out to eat. Next thing you know, 3 months later, you don't even know the dude anymore. Piece of the soul gone. Have your options is healthy. I said it.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
I think in society, people have to protect themselves as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people find ways to do that by justifying their actions based on who they are. And I think it's fair.
Okay. I was about to say, because what you trying to say?
I know I'm very like I'm like that. Like I'm one of them people who like very like I try to be very understanding. And so it's like I truly believe like I'm not or nobody is in the right to say or not say anything about what anybody's doing.
Right. Like, oh, you like blow up dolls? Like,
yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? If people in the community, in the rainbow community and all of that, you know what I'm saying? However people, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
move.
people are free to like what they like.
Right. But I also, you know what I'm saying? I do encourage people to follow God.
Yes.
So if I am going to encourage anything, it's going to be God. You know what I'm saying? But so far as all that, I don't really too much get into that. Because like, if you ask me how I felt about it, I piss some people off. Because they'll be like, oh, you know what I mean? But it's just my perspective. And it's like, this is the society we live in. Like, I mean, at this age, let's say you don't have any children. Like, are you going to meet another person with no children? No, probably not.
Probably
you know?
not.
Even further, are you going to meet a virgin?
Definitely
you know what
not.
I'm saying? So it's
definitely not. You need to take some of that virtue off your chip. You get some of this Don Julio.
So you know what I mean. Is the I want to ask you this. Mm-hmm. How does I mean? Because you know we correlated your not necessarily you, but you know busy habits. We also correlated it to love life. How does all of that correlate to your upbringing? Not you specifically, but do you think it makes a difference between people who raise in survival and people who raise out of love for them to coexist in a relationship?
Yes. Specifically, so let's speak from both sides here, out of survival and out of love. I think that individuals who are raised out of survival, they automatically kind of search out and seek partners to trauma bond with in their adult life in order to move forward, or someone who's also going through a hard time, or someone who's also going through the struggle. A lot of times people who are raised on survival, they don't really succeed unless they have something on the tail end at the last minute, at 5 o'clock, something that they're trying to really survive, actually, if you will. I think individuals who are raised out of love are a little bit more laid back, reassured, okay. Kind of like a female raised without and with a father. Females with a father will never second guess or play with their value, their eligibility to work. They never second guess what they can do or what they can conquer because of what they've been taught, because they've been loved already. Women who are trying to survive, individuals who are trying to survive, are willing to risk more. So honestly, I think there is a difference.
Okay. So, okay. I mean, like, is there also a difference between, because, we also touched on partners and decision making and, love, like, because it's a lot that goes into this. And I think every situation is, for every individual. But how does that, do you think it's the same when the woman is choosing, let's say in your circumstances, do you think it's the same for every woman who chooses her career in the moment? Right? That's where we at. That's fair. You could choose in your career in the moment.
Okay.
To focus, and because you also understand how it translates to your love life and being able to build relationships. So you choose to focus more on your career, right? Is that okay for every woman to do, even though it's a difference between like love, being raised on love and being raised on survival?
No, I think that's a default. I think whether you were raised on love or whether you were raised for survival, a woman should always strive to have a career. Now, your career, your what the aspect that you chase in and what your career is may be to be a homemaker. My mother always says, whatever you do, be the best at it.
Okay, so going back to the topic, can an alpha female do that? Be a homemaker and be
I feel like yes. I've met some alpha females that are homemakers, and that's what their career is. That's what their job is. They make a life out of it. Yes, very much so. So hard to believe.
I don't know. I just feel like, let's say a homemaker. You know what I mean? Let's say a stay-at-home wife, right? That's typically what we speaking about.
Okay.
Let's say we got one that stay at home and she an alpha, and the nigga got to get off work and deal with her strong ass. You don't think that's a lot?
Why does the alpha female has to always be strong? Like they're not believed to have relaxed modes because they're alphas? We don't relax? We're always barking? Is that what the narrative is?
Alpha sounds strong.
Just because it sounds strong doesn't mean it is. And
right,
see, so we really should hear more.
Help me out. How could a homemaker be an alpha? And what ways would it like help translate to the relationship?
I think it's very appropriate when you're trying to meal plan, when you're trying to make a schedule out of maybe 4 or 5 different individuals in the house, splitting up responsibilities. Who's going to take the dog out? Who's going to wash the dishes?
You pick some good shit, because you probably right.
Who's hosing down the patio? You know what I'm saying? Everybody, we all need to work in this collectively together. And I think that's where an alpha female can shine. Organization.
Wait a minute.
Meal planning.
I don't know. I feel like once you had me at meals, once you start talking about food, but then you start talking about the patio, I'm like, yeah, you can do that. Well, I mean,
we're all talking about chores that nobody wants to do. So let's make it for the child who always wants to play in water. The alpha female is going to see those things and make sure that baby who like to play in water, that always want to be messing in the swimming pool, he gets the hose down the patio.
You know what? I'm gonna do a podcast on the alpha female.
Okay, we might need to make that a separate. But we need to pause TikTok. Do your thing.
You know what I'm saying? But shout out to you. Shout out to, you know what I'm saying, you stopping by the Big Homie Podcast, man. Absolutely. I appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? Shout out yourself before you get up out of here.
Well, let's just start out with these wonderful nails you guys have been seeing me with the entire time. It's nails by Devin. I did these nails. I do nails. Not only do I do nails, I heal them. So if you have any aching toenails, any ingrowns, darkened toenails that are hoof-like, please communicate with me. You can find me on Instagram at Nails by Devin. That is DEVIN, nails spelled the correct way, Nails by Devin. Also on Facebook, I'm Devin Kirkpatrick. And I think that is about it for my links. Thank you guys so much.
Hey, man, shout out to you. I appreciate you stopping through the Big Homie podcast.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
For sure, for sure.
Absolutely.
First female solo interview.
Hey, give it up. How do we like it?
Hey, hopefully we can get you back soon.
I think I would like to come back for a part 2.
Bet.
Alrighty.
What do you want me to say?
Street school, Grandma.
Street school?